Hey guys, and welcome back to this 4-part series on designing an entire mobile app from the ground up. Part 3 here is going to be all about essentially designing some of the more necessary repeatable screens, such as the home screen, the category page, things that we're going to need to repeat quite a bit from now. So first things first, I'm going to start working here on the home screen. I'm going to introduce the tabs from the iOS UI kit to start us off. I'm going to remove the hotspots for now because I just find they get in the way when I'm trying to work a bit more quickly. And I'm also going to ungroup each of these tabs from the symbol so I can easily delete the labels. I'm actually going to just delete the whole thing. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the frame that will allow me to see where each icon should sit in order to be appropriately spaced according to the iOS UI standards. And now I'm going to just go and bring in some other icons that I'm using here, as I mentioned earlier. So I'm just going to copy and paste a few of these over back onto my artboard. And just make sure that that inner shadow is a bit lighter, like so. And now I'm just going to dump these icons on the artboard. So now all I'm going to do is, if you'll see, I've got 4 tab folders on the left hand side. I'm just going to copy each individual icon and place it within that folder so that when I put it in the middle of each of the frame boxes, which are just transparent, I'll know that it's centered based on those red lines appearing. So you shall see this happen here when I put the search button in, like so. There, that red button appears. So it just makes it easier to get consistent spacing and keep things properly aligned. I'm going to change them all over to white. I'm not going to use the blue down here. I'm just going to use white and opacity changes. So this is going to be the home page. So I'm going to make everything except the home, which is tab 1, 30% transparency. So now I'm going to get started on the header that we're going to use on most of our pages. I'm just going to copy and paste a bit of text and the status bar over from the previous screen. And I'm now going to work on the second line. This header is going to have 2 lines. The first line being the title and an icon in the right hand side. And underneath it there's going to be a bar or various buttons that the user can use to sort of refine their searches. If you recall, when we were doing the wireframing in the first episode, we identified sort of filtering as one of the key things that will make a user's life better. So these buttons that I'm going to put in the middle of the screen here are going to be women, men and kids. And the idea being that you can simply press the button and you can slide across more. So say, for example, if we wanted to add in women, kids, but we wanted to add some categories in, so jumpers and socks, we can add those in and make it appear as though it's slidable by hanging some of the buttons off the edge of the screen. And that will allow users to sort of very quickly and easily change or filter the appearance of their home screen based on what suits them. So that's the basis of our header done. Now we're just going to move on to the main content area now. So I'm just going to start off with a big rectangle, which is going to be 360 pixels wide and 290 pixels tall. I'm going to put that 10 pixels out from the header, but what I'm going to do, just to make my layer life a bit easier, is put all these header layers into one group and call it header. And now when I do 10 pixels, it'll space a bit easier. I'm going to change the radius to 10. This is going to be quite a round box. I'm going to copy and paste the box on top of itself and change the height to 210. This is going to be the basis of the mask. I'm going to now put an image in, select both the layers and click mask. Now one thing you will notice if we look here is that the bottom corners are still rounded. The easiest way to do it is to hide that layer, double click on the mask and then click on the corners you want to change. If you try and just double click on the photo, you'll end up like this and you're only editing the photo, not the edges. So now that we've done that, we're just going to put in the main text elements The first of which is going to be sort of the category or the sale area. So this, in this instance, it's going to be handbags, and then underneath of it in paragraph or body size font, I'm just going to make sort of a description. So here it's going to be sort of save 20% off, so that when you see it, you immediately know, okay, this card is about the sale that's happening and I can save 20% on handbags. Fairly straightforward. I'm just going to play around with the padding here. There's no exact size, just whatever you think feels right as well. And I'm going to copy and paste that card again. Now we need to rearrange the layers because you'll see that the tab bars are hidden. I'm going to put the tab bar over the top of the card, and then we'll get this book because the page will be scrollable. So I'm just going to bring in another image. Make sure to copy and paste it in the same group as your mask or it will go everywhere, and then just delete the underlying image. Make sure to delete that image because it'll keep your file size down, and there's no point in having it there anyway. So now we're going to move on to the sale, or what I like to think of otherwise as the category page. I'm going to bring in the back arrow now, because this will be a page that they've navigated to from the home page. So if they wish to return and view other sale items, I want them to have an easy way to get back. I'm going to put that in white and put those two elements in a group and pad it 20 pixels out as it has been previously from the left hand side. Now that I've done that, I'm going to change the like button to a filter, because we talked earlier when we were wireframing about the need for a filter, and then just change the header to a handbag sale. So instead of having buttons here, I'm going to have what would be on the search page a search field, but for here I'm going to use it as the sort of coupon field. So it will say, you know, use this coupon for this sale, so that when they click through they know where to put the coupon. So I think that works pretty nicely. We need to change the content in here, however. So I'm going to delete one card and keep the other, making sure to select the rectangle body and the mask. I'm going to change the width to 170 pixels, and then you'll see what we need to do is rearrange the photo. So this is going to be for a pair of boots. Let's just go with that. It could be a handbag otherwise. And I'm going to change the height. So we kind of got a tall, skinny card as opposed to what was a wider one before. So I'm just going to bring in a text layer. First thing that we're going to have in the text layer is the brand. So I'm just going to make one up here. We'll call it Scala. And I'm going to change the opacity on the brand to 60% in a medium. So we get that nice gray. And because we're running on sort of tight real estate here, I'm just going to pad about 7 pixels out from the top left and 7 pixels from the top. Then going to copy and paste that layer again, opacity back to 100, the font size to 13 still. And then I'm going to bring down another layer underneath in that nice primary blue. Make it semi-bold without any spacing, just so they can get a quick view of that price. So now I'm just going to play around with the sort of proportions of image to background and the spacing between the various text layers. So still not looking 100% here. I might reduce the space between the price and those two above, and that's looking a bit better. So now all I'm going to do is copy and paste that a few times over, like so, and we have got our category page. Next one we're going to work on is the actual item page itself, so the page that houses the Jurassic Knee Boots by Adam Scala and all of its information on where I can actually purchase it. So how I'm going to do this is I'm just going to copy and paste the mask group out of that card and paste it flat onto the background. Going to the mask layer, I'm going to change its position to 0 and 0, switch width to 375 and the height to 250. That's going to put it perfectly on top of the page. It just makes it easier than having to go and create a new layer again. So you'll notice again we've got these curved edges. We need to hide that photo layer, double click the edges, and go back to 0. Especially important when we're trying to have something flush with the top of the phone. It needs to be square. So notice the problem now is that when I put that white iOS UI over the top, it's really hard to read. So the easy way to get around this is to just use a gradient, a very light gradient that goes into transparency from black. So I'm going to make the bottom, where the rest of the page is, transparent, and then at the top I'm going to give it a very, very light 23% on full black, and you'll notice now it's a bit easier to read, it doesn't look too intense. So now I'm going to start making the primary card for this page. There's going to be, what I envision, 4 or 5 cards, and it will continue to scroll. We won't capture that all now, but we'll just do the 2 primary cards. So the first one will be the name, the title, the price, buy now options, which will then sort of contain sizing, colors, pricing, and so forth. So I'm just going to take the text layers we used earlier, copy and paste them over. I'm going to make the name a bit bigger now because we've got more room to play with. And I'm going to put the price actually next to the other 2 this time around. And I'm also going to increase its size and then just vertically align those 2 like so. Again, making sure that they're both 20 pixels out from the edge just to give it a nice bit of spacing. Now I'm just going to add a bit of description text. You can make up sort of whatever description text you want. It's going to be 20 pixels down from the items above, and then just make the line height 21 on a 16.4, and I think it just makes it look a bit easier to read. Now we're going to be working on the next part, which will be the options to choose a size and to choose a color and then to add it to your card. So all I've done is I've copy and pasted the background of this card, changed its height to 50. Again, I'm going to use this nice little method of using the inner shadows to come up with some flat lines. We're going to go 0 on the X, 1 on the Y, and 0 on the blur. And I'm going to find a nice color fairly similar to what we've been using before, just to show a very clear border. So I'm going to need to add another inner shadow. You can add another one by simply pressing plus, that'll give you a second one. And on the second one, we're going to actually have that as -1. So we have one at the top and one at the bottom, and it looks like a box. So I'm going to copy and paste that and divide it by 2. All I've done is taken the text layer from above, changed it to select the size. Now I'm going to pop it about 15 pixels out from the left box. I'm going to put in a drop down, and I'm going to pop all these items into a group and then copy and paste it for the right hand side of the box. Now the right hand side of the box is going to be to do with color, so we can keep everything or just change it to pink. We're going to need to add a circle that indicates the current color. So as for the color, all I'm going to do, well, I might just change the height to 12, is just color pick from the dress above, make it look a little bit pinker. So I think that will do. I'll just put them into a group, make sure they're all properly aligned one more time. And that is that. We're going to continue this in the next one, so feel free to keep watching.